All right, everybody, welcome to the Mangalorian. We are continuing our read through of the original Dragon Ball manga, the full color edition, but still the original 42 volumes of the manga. This is volume 9. This series is meant to go up archive, so if you ever miss an episode, you can always check the archives. We've done the entire manga so far up until this point. Last time we recapped the Red Ribbon Army arc, the end of it, the end of at least that portion of it, and now we're in the fortune teller Baba part, which is still kind of part of Red Ribbon, although not entirely. And we've gotten to the point where now Yamcha is up. He just beat the Invisible Man, and we have the mysterious next challenger to come. So I'm here with Jordan the Dragon Lee. What's up, man? How are you?
Not much, man. Like I said, I'm really excited to do this volume. So let's get into it.
Why this volume?
Because it's got one of my favorite scenes in all of Dragon Ball. And it's got some of like my favorite storytelling dynamics in all of Dragon Ball. So
same. I agree. This has maybe my all-time favorite scene in the anime version. I have to think about that. The manga, it's different because you don't have like the music and the performances. It's not quite the same thing, but you know how it is. Let's go ahead and get started here. Let me where's this at? Present.
Hey, if you missed the other live videos, you can always go watch them.
Yeah.
You can go watch.
That was the point, that all these are being archived. So they're on the in the playlist. In the Mangalorian playlist. So here we are. Now, once again, I commented on this last time, right? And I commented on the fact that I'm a big fan of Toriyama kind of keeping you up to date on what's going on. You have to remember that this was a weekly manga, and if you missed a chapter, let's say you missed the chapter for whatever reason, this will at least catch you up on it while you were in Japan. So that, and I love little pictures and everything. Like, we know Goku's the last opponent, you know. So who is next? Okay, so Invisible Man is gone because Yamcha's, he won because of Roshi seeing the Bulma's goodies, which was edited out, So the next opponent, first of all, they're going to move the fight indoors to a place called the Devil's Toilet. Now, if you want to gauge someone's Dragon Ball knowledge, ask them what the Devil's Toilet is. How many of people who do YouTube channels do you think know what that is, Jordan?
I don't know. I'm not going to not give them any credit at all. I'd say
I didn't say any credit. I said out of all the ones that we know of, how many know what that is?
I'd say a few, but yeah, maybe 30%. Yeah, that sounds like that's a good number.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying all of them. I'm just saying how many, give or take.
Right. But the Devil's Toilet would be an awesome Budokai Tenkaichi level. Or that's one thing I don't like about Dragon Ball not getting enough love in video games, is the fact that there's some like really cool stage potential for like even the stage prior to going into the Devil's Toilet for Baba's tournament would be an awesome fighting arena. It'd be an awesome fighting level. Like there's so much like cool scenery and stuff in the original Dragon Ball.
Well, yeah, what I was also commenting on, it wasn't necessarily the lack. It wasn't just the lack of like Dragon Ball and the knowledge gap there. It was actually more so the fact that we never heard of this place ever again. Like, this is the only time in Dragon Ball you ever see the Devil's Toilet. It's not even mentioned again after this, like, at all. So it could be very easily forgotten, even by people who have seen the original Dragon Ball. And, the whole architecture of, like, these two giant demons with their tongues about to touch and there being a giant roll of toilet paper next to it is so wacky and goofy.
It's wacky and low-key kind of disturbing because it's two devils about to touch each other's tongues while they're taking a shit in, like, a giant, nasty vat of, like, I don't know, dude. Toriyama was on something with this one, but I love it, though. It's awesome.
Jordan, have you ever, I'm going to ask you a question now, and I'm going to look into your eyes, see if you're telling the truth. Okay. Have you ever made love while on a toilet?
No. No.
I believe you. I believe you just this once, bro. I believe you just this once. I believe you. Because you're right. It's two devils taking a shit. You literally see them in these two toilets, and their tongues are about to touch. And literally, this reaction right here. What is this place? That would be everyone's reaction, dude. Because, and again, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm not going to be that guy who's like, people seem to criticize Toriyama as being a bit of a weirdo. He is a weirdo. There's no argument there. He's a weird guy. But this is just him being goofy. Like, it's just his type of humor,
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me that much. So
there's nothing wrong with being weird either. It's like sometimes people are just quirky because they are creative. And I think that a lot of like Toriyama's like weirdness is just due to the fact that he is like ridiculously creative. Like if
he's
you're going to
also
be
socially awkward too.
That's true. But if you're going to be creative, you have to you can't just like conform to some sort of like normality. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of break boundaries and innovate. So,
well, yes, and some of the all-time geniuses in history were weird. So, the fighter that Yamcha will be put up against emerges from actually inside one of the mouths of the Devil's Toilet, which is Mummy Man. Now, I think in the dub they called him Bandages for some reason, but that's not his name. His name is just Mummy Man. And like we talked about on previous streams, this is another character that Toriyama took inspiration from the Universal monsters. We saw the vampires. We've seen the Invisible Man. We've seen Frankenstein in the form of Ader / Hachan, the Android 8. Now we have Mummy Man, and Yamcha will be going up against him. What an era this was, where Yamcha was the, and this is something to think about. Yamcha was the number 2 guy on this team.
Well, I don't necessarily see him that way. As a matter of fact, I see this as like the most blatant example of what Toriyama would later use weaker characters for, which is simply just to gauge the power of Goku. So, as we'll see here in just a minute, Yamcha can't take this guy, and they use that as a plot device to basically show you how much stronger Goku is before than he is now. And they do that continuously as the series progresses. That's why, people get upset that the side characters don't really make that much progress. But there is like a narrative purpose for it. If you see one of the weaker characters go in and try to face the stronger characters, the purpose of that is to show you how much stronger Goku is when he comes in and defeats the new villain. And this is a perfect example of that. This is like one of the most blatant examples of that.
Well, it is, but that's not the point. The point I'm making is usually Krillin would be the number 2 guy. Later on, it was different characters. Now it's Yamcha. So I think that says more about Yamcha's power than anything else. So I want to address this comment by Nicholas Henry, because this is a very, very, very big misconception for people that don't understand Toriyama. He says Toriyama begins as a weirdo and then serious writer. Toriyama was never a serious writer. I don't know where you got that from. I don't know if you've only seen Dragon Ball Z dubbed, or I don't know what your history is with Toriyama. He's never been a serious writer, ever. He's never been a serious writer.
Yeah, even
when all the way to the Majin Buu saga, it's not serious.
Yeah, even when he tries to like do serious narrative plot points, there's always a degree of
goofiness. Always.
So even
always.
Yeah. So like even whenever he's trying to make some kind of profound point, he's still kind of making fun of said profound point through humor, which is
Yes. Now, Xavier here says Yamcha didn't lose the first round this time. That's more the point I was making, is that, yes, you're right. Yamcha did become sort of the fodder for the villains later on. But at this point, he's all the way near the end, because Mummy Man's the 3rd guy. We still got 2 more guys left.
Well, yeah, but when you see the difference between how Goku faces him in comparison to Yamcha, you'll understand a bit what I mean. It's just like, Yamcha is blatantly talking about how strong this guy is, right? He's mind blown that he's that strong.
Right.
And then Goku
and then here comes Goku.
Yeah, and he's the exact opposite. They're like, oh, wait a minute. So Goku's on that level. He's like next level.
That right there is something that would be recycled a bazillion times over again.
Mm-hmm.
The villains beat up everybody else, and then Goku, here comes Goku to the rescue. So, and in the movies as well, people, I think also people, including myself, this is very easy to get caught up in this. if you include the Dragon Ball Z movies, there's a lot more of this going on. And so I think this has led, and Toriyama himself commented on this years ago, it's led to a bit of a misconception about Goku's character. And I say that to say this: I've seen Dragon Ball fans say, well, Goku always does the spirit bomb. No, he doesn't. He only did it 3 times in the original manga and only killed 1 enemy. However, if you include the Dragon Ball Z movies, he did it in like 5 of those movies. He 2, 3, 4, and 7. He did it in 4 out of the 5 movies. So, but that's not even the fans' fault. That's like, if you grew up watching Dragon Ball and Z and you've seen the movies, you're almost sort of like your brain sort of combines everything together into one big mush. And that's why, that's why I say that, because it does happen often. It's not even a bad thing. It happens. What were you
right. Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, we'll just move on.
No, I mean, but you get my point. For example, in the anime, they show you Goku's house before the manga does, but the manga version of Goku's house is different. So the anime just started drawing Toriyama's version
you see
later.
that a lot in like GT, and like there's when Toei takes over the product, it's a different product. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, but it's just how it goes.
But what I'm saying is that people are conditioned to like view everything as a whole and not separate the manga from everything. You know what I'm saying? Like all the good Saiyan Saga filler, it's good filler. It's just not in the manga, and so people will say stuff like, oh, I remember when Goku did this and that in the anime, but it wasn't in the manga, so they think Toriyama wrote it because their brains. And some have never even read the manga, so I'm not even blaming fans for that. I'm saying this happens all the time. Your brain gets accustomed to one form of storytelling, and thus when you go look at the manga, it's like, wait a minute, But anyways, this is all good shit here. Combat from Mummy Man. He's very fast despite being a big guy, and yeah, like Roshi says there, he's fast. Just smashing Yamcha. Look at this typo right here, bro. Chapatter 102. You see the typo right there, bro? I can't believe the translators fucked that up. Goku at the plate. I do love this this image of Goku there being ready. Kind of a spoiler because, but then again, we kind of knew it was going to eventually
coming
get
out of the
there.
devil's mouth. It's awesome.
Yeah, but Yamcha hadn't lost yet in the story. But in the story, Yamcha here's Yamcha doing the Roga Fufu Ken, which is the Wolf Fang Gale Fist. And even though Yamcha's speed increases tenfold when he does that move, Mummy Man still dodges it, which at the time was kind of a big deal. Not so much after, but at the time, again, people are indoctrinated into thinking that Yamcha's a pussy because he gets treated so badly throughout the series. But there was a time when the Wolf Fang Gale Fist was seen as a serious technique, and when he was seen as a serious fighter.
Yeah. So this is definitely there to show you how impressive he is as a fighter, for sure.
And here comes Mummy Man with the giant knee drop right to the balls, right to the testicles, bro. You know what, bro? Yamcha has suffered a lot.
Yes, he has.
Right there to the testicles, bro. And that's not the only knee that Yamcha would have to deal with, but we'll talk about that when we get to the next arc. And so Mummy Man thinks he got him, even though he hit him with a low blow, which how fair is that,
Yeah, it's no fair.
Right. And at this point, it looks like there was a miscalculation because Mummy Man's on the way down. But Mummy Man uses his bandages, what would you even call those things? Or what would you call there's the name for like the paper around the mummies? Do we have any anthropologists in the chat, bro?
I can't remember what it is, but yeah, it's not bandages, but
no, it's not bandages. It's like there's a certain kind of paper the Egyptians used.
Yeah, it was hemp paper, but I can't remember what the name for it is.
Paper of the dead. I don't know.
Something like that.
But he uses it pretty much like an Indiana Jones whip, grappling hook style, to bounce back up. So That's another disadvantage, that this guy can do that. Ready for some payback? Sure, use some stupid tactics, don't you? I wouldn't say that was stupid. I would say that was smart, but it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And then here we go again with the combos. Lots of Muay Thai here and knee. Yamcha's pretty much getting smashed, just completely smashed. They're not even sure what they're going to do here. And then, of course, Goku steps up because Goku wants to be the guy to do it. And, of course, here, this is classic Dragon Ball, just done so many times before. Krillin says, Muten Roshi-sama, no matter how strong Goku may be, does he really have a chance of winning? The previous Goku probably couldn't win. However, it looks like he really has gotten better through his recent training of his still, I wonder. So part of that's his tail they're talking about, training of his tail. But it's also the fact that, you know, since the tournament, Goku's gotten stronger and he still hasn't gotten anywhere near as strong as he would be after the next tournament, because that's when really he trains for a long time for that tournament. So Goku one-on-one with Mummy Man, chapter 103. Phenomenal art here by Toriyama. Most of this chapter is action. There's not much for us to really break down. It does that thing where Goku, I don't want to say he's allowing himself to get hit, but he's more so testing the power of his opponent. And then he pops back up and says, now it's my turn, which, I mean, hell, even that now it's my turn shit, even Gogeta did that in Dragon Ball Super Broly, and that was only a few years ago. That's like that's still going on to this day.
Yep.
You know, now it's my turn or whatever. And the enemy always saying, oh, well, he wasn't that much of a match for us. You know, typical Dragon Ball, like, you know. Xavier says the movies are if Goku can't do it, no one can. Yeah, that's what literally the name of the last movie was, of the original 13 movies. The movie that people call Wrath of the Dragon, which is a stupid name because Goku doesn't have any wrath. The movie's called Dragon Fist Explosion. If Goku can't do it, nobody can. Or if Goku can't do it, who can? So it literally tells you in the title of the movie that Goku's going to be the one to save everybody, which... yeah, there you go. So Goku, you know, ducking this punch, very similar to Raccoon. He ducks the punch, connects with his own to the body, and Mummy Man is in pain. And this image right here of his body slumped over Goku, I mean, we would see that with Nappa, but not with, you know, and of course, Bata or Birder, but not really in the original Kid Goku, but here we are. So there's lots of things that we see in this arc that would become commonplace later on, but it's almost like Toriyama just kind of didn't use it as much as he wanted to, but then later on he did. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Not much to say there, but Mummy Man is out. So here comes the second to last fighter, which is Devilman. Now, this is another character that, again, the dub had to change his name because it's like Barry Watson couldn't sleep at night if he didn't change at least one.
This might be my favorite part. Not necessarily, I mean, just of this chapter, because of the fact that Devilman pops up and then he's got the horns, and then the other character, which we'll get to here in a few minutes, has a halo. And I just think that that's a pretty cool contrast, and it really kind of, there's like a deeper narrative purpose for Goku fighting Devilman and then immediately fighting who he fights next, because it's supposed to show you the effect that this person had on Goku. Like, they're literally showing you the effect that Grandpa Gohan had on Goku through the Devilman beam, and then having him show up afterwards and fight Goku, which is just like really creative. And the placement of it being right after he, you know, kills so many people in the Red Ribbon Army and stuff like that, that is definitely very purposely done by Toriyama, because he's essentially showing you, despite the fact he just took out an entire army, he doesn't have any evil thoughts. And so Toriyama is like doubling down on the idea that, you know, despite the fact that Goku is like a destructive being, he's still pure-hearted at the end of the day. So
And yes, and destroying the Red Ribbon Army, he was destroying an army that had malicious intent. And
yeah,
so he's doing it for the right reasons because they were the ones that were pillaging people and killing people innocently, especially Tao,
yeah,
for for his own good. Now, one smart trivia note too that should be mentioned is this is the first character in the entire series that has a halo. We did
yeah,
not see halos prior to this. Now, obviously, Toriyama got the idea of a halo to represent dead people from some of the Judeo-Christian artwork in like the I don't think that the word halo is even in the Bible. I don't believe it is. I think it was more of something that was drawn by people to represent the dead. So
yeah.
I'm not an
Yeah,
expert on that.
and they drew
Mhm.
it in a bunch of cartoons during his era too. So it was just kind of like a common trope in entertainment at that point.
Sure, but the fact that this is the first character to have a halo when they would become commonplace later on, because I don't think Toriyama had any idea when he was writing this story that there would be so many dead characters just a few years later. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he planned that far ahead. He's been known as a discovery writer, so he definitely didn't plan that far ahead. But I don't think he thought, one day I'm going to do a villain that just kills everybody. Maybe
Yeah,
he did, but he didn't tell anybody.
right.
So as I was saying, Barry Watson can't sleep at night without making some kind of change. So we
Right.
can't just call him Devilman. We have to call him Spike the Devilman for some reason. I don't know
Yeah.
why. His name is Akuman, which is
Yeah.
actually a
Aquaman.
pun of two different words. Akuma means devil, and man is man. So it's like Akuman. So that's his
Yeah.
pun, like Superman.
Yeah.
Very similar. Now, I've always been a fan of Devilman's design.
Yeah.
I really love it, bro. The blue with like the horns. He kind of looks very Dragon Questy in some ways.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there are villains that look similar to him in Dragon Quest like crazy. So
Not just that, I know for a fact that there are because there is a manga. There is a manga called, I think it's I think it's Emblem of Roto. I believe that's the manga. And the main villain of that, now that was not drawn by Toriyama. That was drawn by somebody who is taking Toriyama's style and adapting it into their own. I forget the artist's name, but there is a villain who looks identical to Devilman. Different colors, but close enough. Like
yeah.
just that the whole design with the horns and everything. So Goku connecting on Devilman was already kind of a shock. Mummy Man was nothing to Goku, but Devilman
Yeah.
is. Chapter 104, the Beam of Evil. We're going to be discussing that beam here in just a minute. So first, we see a lot of hand-to-hand combat. Again, we're moving through this chapter fast or through this volume fast. A lot of it is just it's just action, but it's good action. It's the kind of action that I like from Dragon Ball because it's just so much fun to watch the counterattacks and things like that. And look, he says here, do you think the great Akman? See, I don't know why he wrote Akman. See, this right here is what I would call a questionable translation. So this manga, which is a fan translation, he wrote Akman. It's not Akman, it's Akuman. And
Right.
the fact that he wrote Akman is bad because there's another Toriyama manga called Go Akman, which is
Yeah.
not related to this at all. So that is a huge error by the translator.
Yeah.
So now he's talking about this move called the Devil Might Be. Now, I've done an entire video on this technique because it could be considered the strongest technique in Dragon Ball, depending on whether or not you are evil. This
Yeah.
technique will automatically kill you if you have evil inside your heart. And I remember back when I used to play Dokkan Battle, which was a long time, almost 10 years ago, I remember having the Devilman card, and there is a chance he can actually hit this technique, and you can get an automatic kill with it. They may have changed that now, but I remember that was a thing back in the day.
Well,
So
in
this,
the anime, the scene for this is a little bit different, and they explain it a little bit more in detail. So the previous victim of the Devilman beam in the anime was a great hero. He had saved a bunch of people. Like they show like the previous victim of the Devilman beam, and he, despite the fact that he was a great hero, he still had evil thoughts. So he died. So they're showing you don't necessarily have to be completely evil. You just have to have evil thoughts in general.
Yeah, you don't have to be a completely evil person. You just have to
right.
have had sinful thoughts, which means that everybody watching this, including you and I, we're fucked. Ain't nobody got a pure heart in this chat, or you and I.
Also,
we've made our mistakes.
Another really interesting fact is that in Dragon Ball Fusions, if you hit Goku Black with the Devilman's beam, it doesn't work. Because in his own mind, he's not making any malicious thoughts. He doesn't believe that he's sinning. He doesn't see what he's doing as a sin, and therefore he's immune to the Devilman's beam, which I think is super interesting.
So Jordan, I said that I played Dokkan almost 10 years ago. That's what I said a minute ago. I said almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because someone in the chat's like, Dokkan has been out 9 years. So would it be safe to say that 9 is almost 10? Is that a fair thing to say? Okay. I was just making sure.
Especially when you're talking about years, yeah.
I was just making sure that, you know, that 9 is the number right before 10. So if you say almost 10, it would probably be 9, right? Okay, just making sure. Anyways, the Devil Bite Beam is heading right for Goku, and it hits him. And for a minute there, we're kind of meant to believe, both in the manga and anime, that Goku might actually be in trouble. Now, remember, it was established earlier in the series that Goku could ride the Kintone, the Nimbus, because he had a pure heart. However, I think what Toriyama was saying here, was that because Goku, like you said, killed so many people in Red Ribbon, maybe his heart did go dark. Not that he's actually saying it in the story, but I think
his heart didn't go dark at all. That's
no. Hear me out. He's trying to make the audience reading this for the first time think and say, well, maybe when he killed those people, it ruined his pure heartness. That's where I think he was going with this.
Yeah, he wanted people to know that wasn't the case. Because the thing is like, and this is something a lot of people overlook about Roshi's teachings, because they straight up just don't know what they are. Like, they just don't know what Roshi's teachings are at all. And the entire point of Roshi's teachings is to prevent your heart and your emotions from creating malicious thoughts in your mind. And you have to implement that in combat. So Goku, essentially, due to the fact that he was raised by Grandpa Gohan, somebody who was taught by Master Roshi,
and who was also a good man.
Yeah, he has those lessons ingrained into his very being. So whenever he goes to kill someone, he is doing it in a Budo-centric way, where he does not have any malicious intentions towards them. He's not doing it for revenge. He's not doing it to feel some form of self-gratification. It's literally just a reaction on his part out of necessity. And he is incapable, Goku as a character is incapable of feeling that towards someone unless he's in very, very, very special circumstances, like whenever he's falling victim to his emotions on Namek, and even then, he successfully fights through that and uses Roshi's teachings to defeat Frieza. So there is an aspect of Goku's nature that is impure, and that's why Goku can't use the Spirit Bomb when he's a Super Saiyan, because maliciousness infects his heart whenever he's a Super
anger.
Saiyan. Yeah,
when you're in anger, you're not in Zen.
Right. But
yeah, this is all Buddhist shit. Sorry,
at a base level, Goku, he is always in a state where he can essentially get away with doing things that other people couldn't because he's pure of heart. That's why, Vegeta has killed countless people, but he enjoys it. He enjoys it when he kills people. He's essentially an example of what the effect that Roshi wants Goku to prevent in himself. Vegeta embraces that wholeheartedly, and that's supposed to be like the contrast between the two characters. And that's the reason that Goku survives the Devilman's beam here, is because he's incapable of that. Like he is incapable of having maliciousness infect his conscious thoughts. So
yes, that's it. And he is pure. I think people don't understand what pure of heart really means. But I do think that, I mean, I think they understand, but I think they don't know like the origin, which is why we're here,
well,
you know,
purity
like,
of
and not
heart.
just in religion, but also because here's the thing, it's not just in Buddhism. The same
Yeah,
thing goes for even Judeo-Christian and Islam, because if you remember if you go back to Genesis, God gave Adam and Eve everything, but said, hey, you can do whatever you want here. The animals are yours, the plants are yours. Just don't eat the fruit of the tree of good and evil. And Adam's curiosity, along with the serpent, is what led to the downfall of man. They couldn't even listen to the most basic things, and that's what created evil. Evil, here's something that's deep philosophy for a lot of people. Evil is the absence of good. Evil itself is a very weird construct because it's not tangible. Evil is the absence of good, just like how dark is the absence of light. So I know that's deep, but and like when somebody says like I'm cold, well, what is cold? Cold is the absence of heat. Or I'm hot. Well, what's hot? 70 degrees, 80 degrees, 90 degrees, depends on the person, right? Everyone thinks hot is different, right? It's the absence of cold. So I think people have to really look at, and this is getting very granular, right? But it's looking at what these words actually mean. Evil is the absence of good. Goku, despite being a guy who just got done killing a lot of people, he didn't kill them for any other reason but a good reason, because of what they were doing to the world.
yeah.
So
Well,
I was just giving him the other side of it, you know.
and he wasn't even thinking about it that way. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make, is Goku doesn't even think about it in terms of like, this is justice, because that's a very Zamasu thing to do. He's an instinctual being in the sense that he just does it automatically. He doesn't allow like an idea of justice to like infect his mind. He doesn't have like a personal idea. He has a sense of justice, like his nature will push him in the direction of doing things that can be considered justice. But in terms of Goku ever thinking this action is, you know, morally upright or justified, he doesn't do that because he is incapable of developing a false idea of morality. That developing a false idea of morality is what killed the previous victim of the Devilman's beam. Despite the fact that he was a hero, he still had his own ideas of what good and evil were, and that's the reason that he fell victim. Goku is incapable of that, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand about his character.
Yeah, no, it's a very that right there. And I will say one more thing. Zwarlani Wajtek, I can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry. He said, good thing no one else from the Dragon crew fought Devilman. Yeah, because they all would have died. That and I want to say this, Jordan, I want to make this very clear to people, because I think one of the things that I want to be careful with these streams is I want everyone to feel welcome as long as they're not rude.
Right.
I'm not going to speak for Jordan on this, but I'm going to say this. Please understand that this shit that we're talking about, not all of this is something you're going to pick up on the first time you read it. In other words, if you're somebody who's watched and read Dragon Ball for years and you never knew about this, I don't think you're stupid. I don't
No.
think you're an idiot. I don't think you're ignorant. These are things that work that are part of Japanese, because the Japanese education system, they learn all about Taoist and Buddhist stuff. It's almost like us learning, you know, about American history in America, about George Washington and stuff like that, Abe Lincoln. But for them, they learn about some of those people. But the point is, I don't want people to feel like they're dumb. I don't want people to feel like they're dumb for not knowing this. A lot of these philosophies, I didn't know when I was a teenager. You have to kind of grow up to really learn this shit.
Well, yeah, it's all about getting context and learning about Toriyama. So the reason
and reading the manga multiple times too, because you might not get it the first time at all.
That's true, and you can learn it without doing that, but learning about Toriyama and like what influenced Dragon Ball has a huge impact on your perception of Dragon Ball. Like, obviously, Toriyama is a huge Bruce Lee fan. If you look into what Bruce Lee talks about, he talks about this very concept, this purity of heart concept. Like, he literally talks about this in his books.
He's Asian. What do you expect?
Yeah,
even though he was American too.
And, you know, Journey to the West is all about this too. Like, the headband that Sun Wukong wears is literally to prevent whenever his master says the chant is literally a chant designed to purify Sun Wukong's heart. They say that specifically in the book. They specify that. So when he says the chant and the headband tightens, that's a metaphor for Sun Wukong not allowing his conscious thoughts to affect his perception. So
Yes.
Goku has mastered that. This is essentially Toriyama's way of saying he doesn't need that headband. He's mastered the lesson that Sun Wukong was trying to learn in Journey to the West. Goku mastered that lesson.
Which is why, and this goes back to a video Jordan and I did. It was one of our first videos we ever did together. If you want to know more about this, I'm going to tie it into a video so that way maybe people will check it out, and they should. We did a video about 3 years ago, I think, called Ultra Instinct versus Ultra Ego and the difference in philosophy. And I believe in that video, we discussed how Toriyama took the Sun Wukong arc of him being bad and eventually being good and applied that to Vegeta. Yeah. Goku's got his Goku. Parts of Goku were inspired by Sun Wukong. Clearly, the tail, the cloud, the staff. Visually, he's Sun Wukong, pure of heart. At the end of the journey, Vegeta is Sun Wukong at the beginning of the journey, where it's all about ego, pride, and then he eventually becomes what he would become at the end, which is why when he sacrificed himself to Majin Buu, that was him atoning for his sins. He realized, that's why I was actually one of the few things I will give Funimation credit for is the dub title of that episode is Vegeta's Atonement. And when I was younger, I didn't even know what the fuck that word even meant. I had to look it up. And I'm like, you know what? This does make sense. Like, that's a good word that they use. It's like there's that one episode of Dragon Ball Z called, it's an English episode, and it's called Pathos on Frieza. I didn't know what the fuck that word meant when I was 15. Now I do, but I mean, you know.
Yeah, and one of the things that happens in Journey to the West is Sun Wukong has to balance who he used to be as a villain with who he is as a hero, and that's the effect that Vegeta and Goku have on each other. They balance each other out to create who Sun Wukong was at the end of his character arc. That's the reason whenever Goku adopts some of Vegeta's pride as the Super Saiyan, he's essentially becoming what Sun Wukong became at the end of the book. He's adopting some of Vegeta's personality traits, but just what he needed to become what Sun Wukong was. So it's just a really cool concept.
What about the interview when Toriyama says that he stopped trying to make the story like Journey to the West? What about it? That doesn't go against anything that we just said. Toriyama said that because it's true. Dragon Ball is not Journey to the West. Anytime somebody tries to tell you that, not even Jordan, who's the big Journey to the West fanboy, is going to tell you that. Dragon Ball is not Journey to the West.
It has its own story.
That's like saying, well, Star Wars is just the Hidden Fortress. Not really. It's borrowed and inspired by the Hidden Fortress.
So let me just break
which
this
is
down.
a Kurosawa film.
Let me just break this down.
Oh, I just want to say before you go, one last thing. The story of Dragon Ball, like there's no Red Ribbon Army in Journey to the West. That's not what it is. It's more so Toriyama borrowing concepts from different parts of Journey to the West and throwing in his own shit.
Well, Sun Wukong is conceptually and metaphorically a representation of the philosophy of martial arts. Okay. When Sun Wukong becomes the victorious fighting Buddha, the reason he becomes the victorious fighting Buddha is because he masters the lessons of Buddhist martial arts. Okay. It goes way farther than Journey to the West. Sun Wukong represents the very ideas of martial arts that Goku is based around. So it doesn't matter if Toriyama didn't make the story exactly like Journey to the West, because the entire purpose of the book Journey to the West is the philosophical teachings of martial arts. It is literally a representation of what martial artists use to justify violence. That's what it is.
Journey to the West doesn't have like spaceships and shit. That's not what it's, because later on we get that. But I get, the thing is, I'm not mad at him for asking that question. That's a very logical question. But I don't think he understood what Toriyama was talking about. Dragon Ball was never Go ahead.
Most people just think that Sun Wukong is like a character in fiction, and he's not. He's literally put into the story to represent a healthy psychology and a healthy use of the monkey mind. And the monkey mind is a concept in martial arts that you have to implement and use correctly in order to be a prominent, successful martial artist. So the entire book is an allegory for being a successful practicing martial artist. Sun Wukong is not just a character in fiction. He is literally, the book itself is a guide to essentially successfully practicing and implementing Buddhist martial arts. That's what the book is. And because Goku is an allegory for Kung Fu and Buddhist martial arts, it doesn't matter if he tried to make the story like Journey to the West anymore, because he's always going to be connected to Sun Wukong in that way regardless. That book had such a huge impact on martial arts that even Bruce Lee implemented those teachings into his own personal philosophy, which is why all of this stuff is connected, and Toriyama is playing on all of that at the same time.
Also, Journey to the West is old. We should also, how old is Journey to the West, bro? This is not something that was written in the 1800s.
It was written, I think, 1000 something AD. I can't remember exactly when it was written, but no, it's not young at all.
Yeah,
it's very old.
Right. It's not that, and that's something you should be aware of, is that this is old as shit. And I want people to understand this is. And I'm trying to make it clear, because there's a lot of people in this fandom that I think, and I've been guilty of being this way before. They're almost so knowledgeable to a fault. This is not something I'm expecting everybody in the chat to just know about. This is really old shit. And the reason as to why I make videos explaining things, why there's explain videos, it's not that I think the fandom doesn't understand. It's more so that I want you to know where all this came from. It's not to take away from Toriyama's creativity, but every great creator borrows from something and just makes it his own. So Toriyama clearly borrowed from Journey to the West and just made it his own. Again, the Hidden Fortress. And earlier today in the Discord, we watched a movie called Somewhere in Time, which I am 100% convinced inspired James Cameron to do Terminator and Titanic, because he borrowed from that movie. Now, in Somewhere in Time, there's no fucking machine from the future that's trying to kill the mother of his unborn enemy. It's not in that movie, bro. It's the love story.
Right.
But that's the point I'm making, is everybody get their ideas from somewhere. And I've always found it interesting when it comes to the creative. Like, when I was a kid and I first got into Dragon Ball, like, I was wondering where the fuck this guy got his ideas from, because this is wild shit. Like, Dragon Ball's got aliens and dinosaurs and demons and angels. And the answer is he got his ideas from everywhere.
Yeah,
Hopefully
like Yash pointed out, Journey to the West is based on a real thing that happened. So that's the reason it's kind of hard to like place like when exactly it came about, because it's based on real events. Now, Sun Wukong didn't exist, obviously, but there is stuff that suggests a barbaric like martial monk followed Zhuangzhang through to India. So it's based on an actual set of events. It's just not exactly the same. But the entire point of the story at the end of the day, like I said, is to represent the very lessons that are being taught right here in this page. Because, like I said, anytime Sun Wukong had his headband tightened, it was to try and achieve what Goku has achieved right here in the story. So to think that Journey to the West, and Journey to the West is just based on what you're supposed to practice in Buddhism and implementing that into martial arts. So to pretend that this isn't connected to the Journey to the West is like wild. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, also, I want to highlight his other comment here, because he's 100% right about this. A lot of the elements that we're talking about are not in Toriyama interviews. That's 100% right. That's kind of why Jordan dedicated a whole channel to this shit, because like there's things that I've talked to Jordan about throughout the years that I didn't know. And this is not something I say, but everybody seems to think that I'm the big brain of the Dragon Ball fandom, that I know everything. I appreciate the kind words. There's a lot of things I don't know. Just like there's things that Jordan doesn't know. Or that Derek, exactly. In fact, Derek Padula, who was the first guy to really unearth a lot of this, made a huge mistake in one of his books that I texted him about, bro. He made it, and you know what it was about?
Mistakes. It's just, It's
But
just one the thing
no,
is,
but do you
like,
know what it was about though? Do you know what the mistake
no,
he
I don't
made was
know.
about?
I don't know. I have no clue.
He thought Andre the Giant only wrestled in America, and I had to because
Oh, of course you had to call him out
of
on
course
that.
I had to. When I read that, I texted him. I said, "Derek, you got to do your history, buddy boy. Andre was a huge star in Japan because there is a character in Dragon Ball who resembles Andre the Giant. That's why we're saying that." You knew I had to get him on that one, bro. Like, no,
Of course,
Andre was
yeah.
a huge star
There's
in
no
Japan.
way you could resist that, bro. I
Also-
mean, if I knew that, I would have told him too. But
Yeah, but
that's
you know
awesome.
how I am. Also,
Yeah.
I should state that somebody in the chat, I missed who it was we're gonna move on, bro, here in a minute. But somebody said that Goku's the redemption of the Saiyan race. No. Vegeta is the redemption of Vegeta, but the whole Saiyan race was not redeemed. They were all killed. The thing that people have to understand about Goku and Vegeta, and now with recent events, Broly, is that they're different from a lot of the Saiyans. They're very different. Vegeta at one time adopted that class-based mentality. So in a way, that's probably what you meant. I'm guessing that's what you meant. So in a way, Vegeta shed away those wrong philosophies and adopted the good ones. So
yeah.
Anyways, bro, long story short, Goku does not die because he has no evil in his heart. However, Devilman pulls out his fucking trident. Now, if only he used the one from the Little Mermaid, bro, then Goku would be fucked, bro. He could make himself fat, and then he could ram the fucking ship into him.
And in classic Dragon Ball fashion, he pulls out a weapon just like Tao, which I think is cool.
But this fucking kick right here, bro, is this not the closest we've ever gotten to Goku doing the fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme kick? You know what I'm talking about.
Like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
If you've seen one Van Damme movie, you've seen them all because he does the kick in almost every movie he's in. Bro, when he did that move in Street Fighter, I was like, wait a minute. That's not
was cool.
That's Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's not Guile. He went back to being Jean-Claude Van Damme for one scene.
Yeah.
This guy gave me Hubset which movie? All his movies, bro. I can tell you haven't watched a lot of Van Damme. Van Damme does the same kick in every single one of his movies.
Yep.
It's that kick right there that Goku's doing, bro. It's literally that one right there. He even did it in Expendables against fucking
I remember that.
Stallone. Yeah, fucking against Rocky, bro. So he kicks the shit out of Devilman into the wall. Goku showing off his speed. So chapter 105, the last champion. So now Goku is victorious and will face off against this mystery opponent whose face we can kind of see through the mask, although at this point, if you're only reading manga,
you still wouldn't know who he was. Yeah.
Gaming Hub said, I will watch it. Yeah, but Van Damme, how many movies would you say Van Damme has made? Over 80,
I don't
right?
know. Yeah, a lot.
He hasn't made as many
exactly
as Jackie Chan, but he's made a lot, bro.
Yeah, he definitely has a huge legacy. For sure.
I will tell you this. If you're looking for the most Dragon Ball movie, and the fact that you haven't seen this, it makes me very upset. But that's okay, because here I come to the rescue. Seek out a film called Bloodsport. It was talked about in Cobra Kai. They even showed scenes of it. If you haven't seen Bloodsport, my friend, that is the most Dragon Ball movie that Van Damme's ever done. At least see Bloodsport. There's also Time Cop and, Kickboxer, and there's a lot. Sudden Impact, but Bloodsport. Start with Bloodsport.
Bloodsport is awesome.
Bloodsport's the best one. That's probably his most epic movie, I think. So they're going back outside for this big final battle. And Goku says, that guy smells nice. Now, the whole thing about the smell is you have to remember Goku is still basically a monkey boy. He's still connected to his roots as a I guess
at this
feral.
point he's a representation of Sun Wukong. So yeah, literally
more animalistic.
Yeah, well, like the original intention of Goku's character before he was ever a Saiyan is he was essentially like a yokai boy. He was like a demon child.
Right.
And so like
but he wasn't
Uh,
evil.
yeah, and that's the reason that Baba specified in like the page before that he has the heart of like a baby or an animal, because he's an instinctual being in a way that humans are not. A lot of his decisions and actions and stuff like that are just the result of his instincts effect on his mind, right? It's just like I was talking about how you're supposed to prevent malicious intentions from dominating your actions. Goku, most of his actions are dominated by his instincts. It just so happens that because he's good by nature, his instincts are good. And that's why the impact that Grandpa Gohan had on Goku is so unbelievably important, because the entire reason that Goku is good instinctually is because of Grandpa Gohan. And that's important.
Yes, it's the fact that he hasn't smelled that in God knows how many years.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we like to assume that, and this goes for any religion, we'd like to assume that people who die smell good in heaven. So I would like to think that you that body odor doesn't exist in the afterlife because you don't have a
Yeah.
body. So that could be it. But I did want to highlight Deadly Toguro's comment. Bloodsport is free with ads on YouTube right now. I haven't checked that for myself, but I believe him. After we get done with the stream, go watch Bloodsport, bro. You will not be let down. All right, Xavier says, I can't believe the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat movies are a year apart, and the MK movie is so much better and feels like an actual movie. Right, correct. That's because the Street Fighter movie had a lot of problems, which I'll get into some other time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unrelated to our stream here, but Mortal Kombat is one of the finer video game movies. Street Fighter has cult classic written all over it because it's not a very good movie, but it's funny and goofy and stupid, so it's got an audience.
Right.
I know somebody who actually said that's their favorite movie of all time, and that's kind of wild to think about. But anyway, so Goku likes it. Look, it's a really happy smell. So it's that familiarity. You know what I mean? Like Goku himself doesn't even know what he's smelling. So now again, here is Roshi. You know, something's familiar about that guy's voice. I feel like I've met him somewhere before. So they're already giving us clues that this is somebody who we're supposed to know. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, you wouldn't know who Grandpa Gohan was at this point. So the buildup is awesome.
The owl said the sense of smell was the first to develop an evolution. That's why it's tied to primordial characters. Why would you bring up evolution in a Dragon Ball stream we're reading the manga? Why would you use that word here, bro? He said the word evolution while we're reading the original Toriyama work.
Hey, man.
Disgraceful. Disgraceful, bro. This guy said, how long did it take you guys to figure out it was Grandpa Gohan? Well, 5 seconds, maybe 10.
Yeah, I was spoiled of this before the manga, so I already knew what it was.
Yeah, the thing people have to understand is back in the day, before Dragon Ball became easy to watch and easy to read, there were people who were doing these guides and these summaries, and I would read those, and it basically told me everything before I even got to read the manga. The manga was not easy to find in the 90s, dude. Trust me when I tell you this. The manga was very hard to find. Like the full manga, nobody had that till like the 2000s. Like the maybe even the late 2000s. Super hard to find. Brock the Warlock, the sense of smell is close associated with spiritual sight, even in Demon Slayer. So this functions as Goku seeing his spirit mainly. Well, right. And again, Demon Slayer is another series that borrows a lot from Journey to the West. A lot of Asian things, Chinese, Japanese, even Indian, borrow from that. And other things too, but you know, whatever. So here's Goku one-on-one with this mysterious warrior that we all pretty much know who he is. Classic fucking, I love the slow, like the stance, like Toriyama's taking his time telling the story. He's not just rushing into moves. And then finally, attack. You know, Goku coming in, the mysterious warrior. Why am I keeping a secret? Everybody already knows it's him. So Son Gohan blocked because even though Goku is strong, Son Gohan is still Son Gohan. He's still He was Roshi's student before Goku, and like a lot of other kung fu stories have told us, no matter how old a motherfucker is, in Asian culture, he's still a badass. Yoda was 800 years old, fucking up thousands of clones by himself. Mr. Miyagi in the Karate Kid Part 3 fought Terry Silver and John Kreese at the same time, 2-on-1, and humiliated both of them. In real life, there's very few old men that are that badass. But in the story of like fictional martial arts, all those 200-year-old men are all like incredibly badass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, it's funny when you look at those old movies, how you have the ancient like master who's the badass still, you know. It's a recurring trope. It's a recurring trope. So let me zoom out a bit so we get the whole panel, all the panels there. He connects with a kick right there to Gohan, like, you know, but dude, I love this chapter 106 cover, bro, with all the characters there. Like, it looks like some out of a coloring book. Yeah. Which, by the way, I got to talk to you about an idea that I had.
Okay.
I had, I'll tell you later. I had this, I don't want to say it on streams. I don't want anybody to steal my idea, but I had an idea for something I could sell that nobody else has done before. It's related to Grandpa Gohan.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's related to him. But because I'm already thinking up like merch ideas for Daima and sort of the new era and Super as well, whenever that is. So now here comes Son Gohan with the counterattack here. But Goku's still in there. So, I mean, clearly Grandpa Gohan knows that Goku's gotten stronger. I mean, he knows how to sense ki. Like, he's been taught all those things. And that's the thing. That's something else, too. We need to make this clear, especially with what we're talking about on the weekend streams on Twitch. At this point in the series, Goku does not know how to sense ki. If he did, he would have immediately known that was his grandfather.
Yep.
Just like that. Goku does not learn how to sense ki until he trains with God in the heavenly realm, with Kami. That's when he learns how to sense energy. Because Mr. Popo is the one that teaches him. We've been watching these episodes on Saturdays on the stream that I do. I don't want to rip the sleeves off of this shirt, bro. I can show you if you want to see it so badly. I'll show it to you if you want to. Tell your mom she can kiss it, bro. That's for Bob Czar in the chat. He said this right here, bro. Your mom can kiss that if you want, bro. She can kiss it. Anyways, enough of me being Scott Steiner. So fucking Grandpa Gohan, you know, with the fucking flying Pele kick. That anytime Dragon Ball does the Pele kick, it always puts a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Always puts a smile on my face, bro. I bet even he won't be able to brush that off. And then, bam, Goku right from inside the arena comes back. So even Son Gohan himself was surprised as to the advancement of Goku.
Yeah, also, if you look really closely, Toriyama purposely drew Grandpa Gohan to use a similar fighting style to Jackie Chun. Like, a lot of his, like, moves and stuff, if you look at, like, the poses and the way he's drawn, he's purposely showing you that he learned a similar fighting style to Roshi. Like, he's doing that on purpose, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it just fits. There's the flying kick, the same one that Roshi and Goku did to each other at the end of the tournament.
Yep.
Goku now, instead of kicking himself, instead clenches his body to stiffen so that when the kick hits him in the chest, it'll just bounce off. That's very impressive because in real life, that's not going to work. But in fiction, it works because Goku has figured out how to control his energy enough to harden his body so that the shot won't hurt as much. Not to mention that if you know a shot is coming, it doesn't hurt as much as the one that you don't see coming. So that's classic, like Dragon Ball. And then Goku's body, you know, made of iron, basically. He just ate it, you know what I mean? Well, stronger than iron, really, but I'm just saying. And then Goku says, You're strong. I'm getting excited. Now, obviously, later on, this would be retconned into him being a Saiyan and him having a bloodlust for combat. But this is just this is just the
very
martial art.
important. This is very, very important.
All right, if you want to tell him, go for it.
That is Goku's instincts as a fighter being activated.
As a martial artist.
And like I was saying earlier, Sun Wukong is a representation of that part of your instincts. He is a representation of the monkey mind. So whenever Goku gets excited, he's essentially going into Sun Wukong mode. Like his adrenaline, his instincts, his love of battle is starting to infect his personality and who he is, right? And the great ape form has always been a representation of that as well. It's always been an exaggerated, purified version of what Goku is on the inside, basically like his inner demons. And this is something that Bruce Lee talks about in his book, about how you are supposed to implement your inner demons as a weapon in martial arts. And what he's talking about is what you're seeing here from Goku. He's implementing his instincts as a fighter, as an animal, someone who enjoys and craves violence to excel as a martial artist and as somebody who is efficient in combat. So here in a few seconds, whenever Gohan gives Goku flak.
Yes, I still have Godzilla on my desktop. Go ahead. I people saw the Godzilla.
When Goku gives when Grandpa Gohan gives Goku flak for not strengthening his tail, what he's actually talking about is implementing your instincts correctly. The strengthening of your tail is essentially, and the tail itself for Goku, or before the Saiyans ever existed, was a representation of Goku's inner demonic nature. And he whenever he gets excited and his heart starts beating in battle, that part of his nature starts to come out. So Goku originally was supposed to be a demon boy. He was not supposed to be an alien. He was supposed to be a demon kid. And whenever he got excited and went into battle, he had the tail represents the effect that battle would have on his personality and who he is. So Gohan is getting ready to have to acknowledge that aspect of Goku's personality here in the fight. So Goku getting excited against Grandpa Gohan has a narrative purpose in the sense that that's Grandpa Gohan having to directly acknowledge the effect that combat has on Goku as a character. And it's not just Goku as a character. This is a general rule in martial arts. This can happen to you as a martial artist. If you get in a fight and you're not careful, you can let adrenaline and your instincts dominate your actions and your conscious thoughts, and you can really hurt someone and do something bad. Like that's the reason that like Buddhists and martial artists consider that aspect of your personality the source of evil, because if you let it can affect your decision-making processes in a way where you will do things that you wouldn't normally do. So Goku getting excited here is just an extension of all of that. It's just an extension of like those teachings.
Yes. It's not. Yes, it was intelligently retconned into all the Saiyans being like that, but the idea of being a competitive fighter predates all of that shit.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
I did want to highlight Al's comment there. I think he meant to write chaos. The step into chaos. Yeah, the unpredictability. It's really about testing yourself. Goku's entire character model is, I'm going to fight anybody who wants to fight me, not because I want to kill them or because I'm a violent person, but because I want to see how good they are at the martial arts, how good I am, and what I can learn from them. That's literally all. There's not that much complexity to Goku's character. Yes, he's a little bit goofy and childlike, but that's the point. Is the Saiyans like to fight, but they also were barbarians, and Goku's not really about that.
They let the thing that Goku uses martial arts to tame affect his mind. So Goku took martial arts and he used it to take the effect that Saiyans experience when they're in battle and tame it. So martial arts and the principles of martial arts are used to tame the effect that Saiyans fall victim to all the time whenever they get excited in battle. That's why whenever Raditz shows up in Dragon Ball Z, he's so flabbergasted that Goku hasn't killed the people of Earth because Saiyans naturally enjoy combat within the context of murdering people.
Well, plus it
And-
was supposed to happen within the first year that Goku was there, and it's been like 20 years or whatever. You know?
it's like naturally
supposed to be quick.
intoxicating to them. It's like addictive and intoxicating to them, which is why Goku is a quote unquote battle addict, but within the context of martial arts and not within the context of just like barbarically killing each other. Like he's using martial arts to tame that aspect of who he is, to tame that aspect of his nature. And that's another reason why Grandpa Gohan is so important as a character, because he is a martial artist. And if it wasn't for the fact that he taught Goku as a martial artist, he wouldn't have had such a profound effect on Goku, because the second that Goku gave into the effect that his nature has on his mind, if he didn't have martial arts to stop that from making him do evil things, he would have been evil. He would have been no different than any of the other Saiyans. And that's the reason that Goku being a martial artist is so unbelievably important. It's very important. Like he has to be a martial artist to be a good guy. Like that's how it works.
Jordan, did you see that Heish in the comment just said that he wants to sleep with Daisy at my house? He literally just said that, bro.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Can you believe this is happening in my chat right now, bro? Good thing we have this recorded forever, bro. Okay, but what do you think? We're gonna get back to the manga, but what do you think about this question right here or not really a question? It's more so a statement made by Brock the Warlock. You want to take that one? I like what he says. He seems like a smart guy.
So yes, the concept is similar, but it's also a concept in Buddhism in general. Like it's a very, very ancient concept that Buddha himself talked about. Taming the monkey mind, implementing it as your best friend. It predates a lot of Western ideology. It's very, 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 very old. Taoists talked about it as well. And Sun Wukong in the novel of Journey to the West goes through this when he defeats the six-eared macaque and combines who he used to be with who he was becoming. He's combining his nature as someone who loves combat, and he is a literal representation of the effect that our heart has on our mind, the heart-mind connection. So when Sun Wukong himself, as a representation of the monkey mind, manages to become what Goku here is in the story, that's literally just a metaphor for what we have to do as not just people when it comes to like taming the effect that our psychology can have on our thoughts, but also in martial arts, that's the entire point of everything that you learn. Because if you're not careful, you can start to get an ego as a martial artist, and that will make you want to hurt people. It'll make you want to do things that you wouldn't want to normally do that are morally questionable. And
it makes you into a bully.
Yeah.
Which, I don't want to bring up Cobra Kai or Karate Kid, but that's different between Miyagi's teachings and John Kreese's. You're supposed to use martial arts to protect yourself from bullies, not to become one.
Right.
This is the last question we're going to we'll take more, but we got to get back to it. But I do want to answer this, and I want you to answer it too. What other anime manga makes you delve into its themes like DB? There's a lot. There's a lot of them out there, but the one that comes to mind instantly, bro, that's like this type of shit but different, is Neon Genesis Evangelion. That has themes and philosophical like motifs that are fucking mind-blowing.
I'm just naturally analytical as a person. So if I start reading any manga or anime, this is how my mind it's just how my mind functions. So like it doesn't matter what anime.
So you're saying you're autistic then?
I guess. But like anytime I read something, my brain. People who are autistic normally can't pick up on context, and it's the opposite with me.
I'm messing with you.
Like
this is what Medios would say.
I have to consider all the context when reading a story, because otherwise I feel like I'm robbing myself of the full experience.
Naruto told a lot of that shit too.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of Japanese anime have even stuff like Akira, like a lot of that shit, a lot of Japanese things have that. Like it's almost ingrained into their culture.
Yeah, well, it's a nuanced, subtle way of storytelling that is enjoyable due to the fact that it is nuanced and subtle,
So Grandpa Gohan is about to fire the Kamehameha. Now, this is the first character to do a Kamehameha besides Goku and Roshi, right? Because I don't remember Krillin doing one this early. Is that correct? Did Krillin do a Kamehameha already? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't remember him doing it yet. No.
So this is the first Kamehameha from somebody outside of Roshi and Goku. That in itself should be a big deal, because if you're reading this, and even if you don't know it's Grandpa Gohan, you have to know, with all the clues that Toriyama has sprinkled, that this guy was at least trained by Roshi. Right?
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, nice cover, bro. I'm going to tell him nice cover in the chat. And I love how Toriyama uses the entire page to show the Kamehameha coming down. Goku, of course, moves out of the way. What? Yeah, Zanzo-ken, bro. See? Right there, he said it. The Zanzo-ken. I love how in original Dragon Ball, the Zanzo-ken / the after image technique is like the most...
Deal.
It's such
a huge
overused move. Everybody uses it, bro. It's great. So, chapter 107, to win by a tail. Goku's about to fire his Kamehameha, and then even Son Gohan was like, you can do the Kamehameha too. Remember, just because Son Gohan is dead, it does not mean he's been watching Goku the whole time from heaven. That's not how it works. So he doesn't know all the training Goku underwent. He doesn't know anything except for what Baba told him. So I want to make that clear, because somebody might say, well, wasn't he watching Goku? No. He in the anime, well, it was in the manga too, but in the anime they gave us more context. Grandpa Gohan likes the afterlife because the girls are cute. That's what he said. Those are his words, which again, that's old man pervert type of shit, which we all love. And again, here we have 3 panels of a Kamehameha looking incredible. I cannot say anything. I mean, it's just good shit. It's just good awesome shit. Get a room, Heesh. Jesus. So anyways, the blast goes through the stage. I like that they use the word slump here. I'm sure that was only in the translation. Goku coming in with the flying knee. Same move that bandages, as they call them, used on Yamcha. Yep. Mummy man. No, that wasn't me. That was you, bro. Look at you. Projecting your fantasies onto me. Look at this guy. Yeah, anyways, she's like, oh, no, don't we say uncle in, or I'm going to finish you off myself. And then, of course, Grandpa Gohan goes to the tail. And
I love the evil laugh from Grandpa Gohan. I love that.
Right. Goku loses his power whenever his tail is grabbed or squeezed. I can squeeze. If you know what, if you squeeze something of mine, it'll gain power.
This makes me like, and I hope that this is in Daima. I hope and pray that this is in Daima, because there is a small clip of us seeing a Saiyan pod going to the earth in one of the trailers. So I hope
for like a second.
Yeah, for like a split second. So I hope that this is in. And it might be because they showed it in Minus too, and Toriyama had been adapting Minus prior to his death slowly through animated content.
Well, the Broly movie was the big one.
Yeah. But I've always wanted to see Grandpa Gohan's dynamics as a master, because you can see that he's kind of mischievous. Like,
well, so is Roshi.
Well, yeah, but he's doing like the way he like does evil laughs, because he knows for a fact that like Goku is failing at some lesson, and that he's getting ready to teach him some lesson and like help him progress as a fighter. That is like stereotypical like martial arts master stuff. Like you see that in like Drunken Master, like a bunch of different like martial arts
everything.
And I would love to see that like between Grandpa Gohan and Goku. I think it's just, I mean, we're seeing it here, but I want to actually see it whenever he was first teaching him, because I think that would be awesome.
Justin Sullivan, yeah, he said not how heaven works. Yeah, we're talking about heaven and Dragon Ball, though, like that. We're talking about heaven and Dragon Ball, not heaven from the Judeo-Christian point of view. But I'm saying we're trying to, like, you have to understand that when I say that, it's not meant to like, it's not really meant as a no duh type of thing. We see people in the afterlife when they put their hand on the back of a Kaio can communicate with the living world. So like there are ways of seeing things. It's just that Grandpa Gohan didn't. That's kind of what I'm saying. In fact, the first mortal that we see chosen to even meet Kaiosama was Goku.
Yep.
He was special because he saved the world and because he was Kami's #1 student at the time. So here we have Roshi realizing who it is, right? Because he knows the tale. He's like, his identity has to be, he knows because he recognizes the technique and everything. And then meanwhile, we cut to Pilaf because there is a bit of an aftermath of the arc, which is Pilaf has one Dragon Ball. And he has it in this little box that somehow can, like, deflect
The radar. Yeah.
the radar. But he has a so somehow, don't ask me to explain it, Pilaf pulled an Elon Musk and put a satellite into space. Don't ask for an explanation. There is none. Just accept it, bro. Just accept it. Pilaf is not this is why remember how earlier Al was saying that things got serious? Dragon Ball was really never serious.
Right.
We got fucking villains named Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo off of a song from Cinderella. Like, Dragon Ball never was serious, bro. I mean, when it's serious, it's still goofy, like Jordan said. It can be serious, but it can also be goofy. I mean, bro, we got a character named fucking Granola. They're all named after food. Like, this shit ain't. I don't think Toriyama was creating this show to fuck with people's emotions in a negative way or creating this manga. I think he was trying to entertain with humor and with also like action and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and philosophy and everything. Yeah. He's very
good. Goku's getting smashed, and then, oh my God, the tail came off. And then here, I thought this was a little bit anticlimactic, but Roshi reveals that Son Gohan, Goku's dead grandfather. So chapter 108 is here. One of my favorite moments of all time. We're going to get to it here in a moment. Goku's mad, and then Son Gohan, without us knowing it was him, well, without Goku knowing, he taps out. He says, I give up, I lose. And Goku's like, huh? And then he takes his mask off, and it's Grandpa Gohan. The only time we ever see Goku cry is this scene right here. Incredibly touching. This is probably my favorite scene in the entire series. Definitely the most emotional, I would say, in the entire series.
It's super emotional, but there's also something very special about it.
Especially up until this point.
There is something very special in that Goku, right before, this is something that a lot of people don't catch on to, but it's so freaking cool. So right before Grandpa Gohan reveals who he is, if you pay attention, Grandpa Gohan gives up. You can go back if you want.
Right.
Grandpa Gohan gives up at a very particular moment for a very particular reason.
Yeah, and the reason's right here. Yeah, right.
Goku
here's the reason.
Mad, and
I knew exactly where you were going with it.
And you can tell that he's letting his emotions start to get to him. Like, you can tell. And so when Grandpa Gohan gives up and takes off his masks, from now on, anytime Goku gets mad, he's going to associate this memory with when he saw his grandpa. So Grandpa Gohan is geniusly using this as an opportunity to, in the future, alleviate Goku's emotions by associating this memory with the fact that he got angry in the fight. So now that anytime Goku gets angry in the fight, he can look back and think about the fact that his grandpa, was trying to teach him a lesson. And that's like, it's just so unbelievably cool. Like the way Toriyama did that, because like he literally chose to give up and alleviate Goku's emotional state when he got angry and he was starting to lose himself to his emotions. And I think that that's just, it's genius writing and it's genius teaching in terms of like martial arts. Like, it's really well done.
Yeah. And it's great. It's great. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I do have some sad news to report. It won't affect that many of our audience, but it's always like, it's a bummer to report this, even if you aren't a fan of this particular version of Dragon Ball. But hold on. I'm trying to show everybody here. Well, okay, I'll just tell you what it is. Hold on, let me see if I can. Oh, hold on. All right. This actor, Roberto Espruisen, passed away. He voiced all these characters for Dragon Ball: Paragus, Mr. Satan, Commander Red, and White. Rest in peace. I just want to say rest in peace. It's a bummer that he passed away. He's been doing Dragon Ball since the 90s. So I just wrote here "en paz descanse," which means may he rest in peace in Spanish. So I just wanted to I just wanted to
Pay homage,
and respects, because I don't want, even though it's not a dub, saw the Spanish dub.
Right.
In the chat, I don't know how many people did, but it's a bummer whenever we lose even if it's an English, any dub Dragon Ball actor, it's always a bummer. So yeah, may he rest in peace. So Grandpa Goku reunites. He cries. The anime version is super emotional. When I watched Dragon Ball in 2017, 2016 with the girl I was with at the time, she cried during this scene. We didn't read the manga. We saw the anime. She cried during this scene. So it is a very powerful scene. Somebody brought up that Goku cried when Roshi died in GT, or I'm sorry, in Super. He didn't really die, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. A little bit he did, and we haven't seen that. That's got to be the only other time. He didn't even cry when like even when Gohan and Goten and Trunks were killed when the Earth exploded, he didn't cry.
Well,
He
has much more emotional control, like as the series progresses. That's something that, people say that Goku doesn't progress as a character. That is his like number one form of progression, is his ability to control his emotions, because he as a character falls victim to his emotions more easy, because again, he was a demon kid, and then later on he's a Saiyan. So, despite the fact that he is naturally good at not letting his emotions affect his thoughts whenever he's not angry, or like he's not in a state of fight or flight, when he is in a state of fight or flight, that's whenever he has to put actual effort into controlling his emotions. And that really is like one of the biggest examples of like Goku's growth as a character, which feeds into like Super Saiyan and like Ultra Instinct and stuff like that. Because like when Goku becomes a Super Saiyan, like his anger is like trying to dominate who he is, and he won't let it because he's a martial artist. And then, Ultra Instinct is all about controlling your emotions. So it's a repeating thing for Goku's character, and he gets better and better and better at it as the series progresses. So,
but I've always felt like the reason why he didn't cry when Goku or when Gohan and Goten died is because Majin Buu was still alive, and it's like in his head, like, because at that point, like, more people were gonna die if Goku and Vegeta didn't defeat Majin Buu.
Yeah, but that feeds into the emotional control that you have to have in combat to get the job done.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is it's ironic, because if Goku and Vegeta had put aside their martial arts bullshit and just made Vegito again, because they got a new pair of Potara and then Vegeta destroyed it. Had they just made Vegito again, they would have been able to one-shot Kid Buu the fuck out and save the world. And to me, that's always been funny, because even though I completely understand why Goku and Vegeta fought Kid Buu one-on-one, it's the martial arts way. You're dealing with a fucking demon that doesn't give a fuck about your martial arts. He's just there to destroy. Like, do what you can, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of the point of Goku's character, though, is he's not supposed to give in to that aspect of his nature, because if he does, basically the idea is the second that Goku gives in to that aspect of his nature, everything falls apart. This cycle that he's created, that he benefits from over and over and over again, ends. And that's like the point of like Oob too. Like, had they destroyed Majin Buu, Oob wouldn't exist.
They did destroy Majin Buu.
Well, what I mean as Vegito. Like, if they had become Vegito again.
I don't follow you on that. The reincarnation had nothing to do with how Buu died.
Yeah, but it's narratively at the end of it, when Goku is throwing the spirit bomb at Buu, he says, "I want to fight you again someday." Right? If you put Vegito as the one who killed him, that doesn't exist. Like
I think he still would have said that, though. Like I think he still would have said it. That's just me.
Maybe.
But I also wanted to comment something else that's important about this scene. This is the first time that the series has been introduced to the come back to life for 24 hours idea, because this was
So-
done in the Buu arc by Goku.
Yeah.
You are allowed through Baba, who is a demigod that controls the gates of the afterlife and the mortal world. Well, she doesn't control it, but she's one of the managers of it. You are allowed 1 day back on Earth for 24 hours. And that's why Grandpa Gohan was on Earth. He wasn't there to stay, unfortunately.
So Xavier the God said Oob still doesn't matter in the franchise. Wrong.
I think he means the way.
If it wasn't for Oob, they would not have survived Moro. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Is like Goku creates this perpetual cycle.
I know what you mean.
Where he benefits from his previous actions, despite
Yes.
the fact that they seem erratic. He still constantly benefits from it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah,
Like letting
Jordan-
Vegeta and Piccolo live seems stupid on the surface. You know what I mean? But if it wasn't for Vegeta and Piccolo being there, he wouldn't have stopped Moro. Same with Oob and everybody else.
And Majin Buu. If Vegeta stayed
exactly.
dead, it would. And that's something else too. Is Vegeta also used the 1 day back to life thing because King Yemma, Lord Enma, sent him back to life to go fight Buu. He had no chance, but him and Goku did have a chance. But it's funny because I agree 100% what you just said. I think what Xavier's talking about though is, and I could be wrong. I think what he means is they have not followed up on the end of Z.
He's right about that. If that's what he's saying,
he's right about that. And the problem now that I'm, to be honest, a little bit concerned about is even if they do create a new, even if Super goes past the end of Z, without Toriyama being around, bro, it's almost like it almost becomes like a GT situation where it's being run by the corporate office.
How it's written. If it's written anything, what I would like to see, and this is just my personal, this is just what I would like to see. I would like to see a Cobra Kai like situation where you've got Vegeta and Goku both teaching the next generation.
Oh, I've been wanting that for years, bro.
Different aspects of their martial arts. You know what I mean? That would be, I would love that.
Like, I would love that too. They could have done that with Universe 6.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
They teased multiple times that Caulifla would be Goku's student and that what's his name, bro? Now Kaba. That Kaba would be Vegeta's student. They already teased that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. We still haven't got it though.
I don't know if we're ever going to get it at this rate. Now, what I do love about this is right here he does talk about, you know, Master Roshi's sisters capable of freely moving between this world and the afterlife. This is the first time we've ever had an indication of the afterlife in the entire series. We would not get more information on this until the Z era. Well, we got a little bit with Kami, but not as much as in the Z era. When Goku dies, we get a lot of this shit. But it says here, she scouts these martial art masters from the afterlife, paying them a handsome salary to come fight matches for her here. Now, here's where things get stupid. This is more of that Toriyama comedy. What does getting paid mean if you're dead? What the fuck does it matter if you get paid if you're dead? See, the whole thing is so goofy and stupid, but I don't let it bother me because you're going to have some fans say that, but to me, it's fine because it's just him being goofy and stupid.
Yeah, it's comedy. And there's no telling. Maybe you can buy stuff. Maybe it's just like a pretend currency that you can buy shit in the afterlife. Who knows? But
yeah, I don't know either. Like, it's just a lot of things that are, you know, they could have done. Xavier says, me personally, I would like for Goku, Yamcha, Krillin, and Roshi to start a new turtle school with Trunks, Goten, Oob, and later Pan being a part of it. Well, it would give Yamcha and Krillin something to do, and Roshi, that's for sure. I'm not against the idea at all. I would love it. In fact, Dragon Ball Heroes did something very similar, except it was Ten Shinhan did his, and then Gohan did his too. I believe it was Gohan that did his. So that's not a terrible idea at all. It's just like Nicholas said, without Toriyama, there's a lot of shit we don't get. He brought up the Frieza clan. I'm talking about there's a lot that we might not ever really know about. This part is awesome because you see here how much respect Son Gohan has for Roshi because he's literally bowing to him. And bowing like this is a huge, huge honor because it's not like Roshi's that much older than him. They're both old men, but there's that respect there.
I love how blown he is that Roshi destroyed the moon. I think that's hilarious. He's like, what?
Not just that, but the fact that he tells them there's cute girls in the afterlife is great. So
Yeah.
You have something to look forward to. This is all pretty much happy times. And this scene right here, I'm looking forward to seeing you even more grown up. See, that's what I'm saying. He can see Goku. There's ways for him to do that, but he didn't up until this point. That's why I made the point earlier. He can see Goku. We just don't know how much of Goku he saw. I do wish, that is one thing the fans have said that I do agree with them on. I really wish that we did see Son Gohan at least one more time.
That would be awesome.
You know what would have been a perfect time to do it?
When
Goku killed Majin Buu with the Genki Dama. And that
would have been a great time to do it, yeah.
That would have been the perfect time to do it, because then it would have been him looking at all of the series going back to this moment.
Yeah,
that's a missed opportunity. That's more of a missed opportunity than the whole 17 lunch thing. No, that would have been much better.
Yeah.
Also, Piccolo and Gohan making a demon school. Well, Gohan doesn't really do that much demonic shit, and neither does Piccolo nowadays. But
I think he just means Piccolo's teachings as a
right. No,
yeah,
I know what he means. I know exactly what he means, and I would not be against like multiple schools teaching multiple things in the future. I wouldn't be against.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And yes, Mecha J says we only see Grandpa Gohan again near the end of OG Dragon Ball. Right. In the 5 filler episodes, the wedding dress arc, we do see him one more time. And again, that's something that I love that the anime added. That was not in the manga, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
So again, Goku says, once my tail grows back, I'm going to toughen up too and become stronger, which is true. And now that he had that this is over with, and that the Dragon Team won, Baba's gonna pop open her crystal ball and determine the location of the missing Dragon Ball. So Goku says it's close, and here we go. Chapter 109, a second helping of Pilaf. Remember, this is only the second time we're seeing Pilaf in the manga. In the anime, he had a very small role at the very beginning of the Red Ribbon Army saga, where his airship went down. It was done to build up the Red Ribbon Army. This is the second time we're seeing him in the manga. Anime only is when the other event happened. I wanted to clarify that. Goku is off, and Pilaf has a plan, of course. This scene right here was tributed in Dragon Ball Super Broly, when Goku put his face in the car or whatever, the flying car.
Yeah, he does that all the time. I love it.
Yeah, that's a thing he does. This right here is like a fucking scene out of Fast and Furious, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Like that type of shit, bro. Like that type of Ludacris is going to be up there instead of fucking Goku. So, most of this dialogue is just kind of basic stuff. How they're ready for Goku now.
Yeah, they know his weakness. They know his tail is his weakness. That's about the only thing that's established here.
But his tail's gone right now, so you're
so
kind of
screwed. Like, oh no.
Yep, he's got 6 of them. They've got the remainder, and now we see the debut of the Pilaf Robo. Now, when it comes to the Pilaf Robo, if you look at these robots, they look a lot like Red Ribbon Army battle jackets. Especially the one that Mai is in. That one looks just like the same battle jacket we saw Black use and die in against Goku. Now, what's interesting about it is I've always thought in my head, okay, which came first? Did Pilaf design these things and sell the design to the Red Ribbon Army? Or did they sell a few of their battle jackets to Pilaf? It's never explained. What do you think?
I think that there is some like secret connections between the Red Ribbon Army and Pilaf.
Me too.
Because Mai is militarily trained. We don't know exactly where she came from. Now, I'm not saying she was in the Red Ribbon Army. I'm just saying due to the fact that like the Red Ribbon Army is a prominent military force on Earth, that, you know, it's very, very likely that they have some sort of connection to it because they're very old, like, and they're evil. So they're like Pilaf in that way.
Yeah, it's just but what I love about the Pilaf Robo is it's almost like Toriyama's Xavier say he thinks that Pilaf just stole them, which is definitely a possibility. I like the idea of, and this is, I'm about to say something that's only headcanon, but I want to get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
When Goku destroys the base and then leaves, I like the idea of Pilaf sneaking into the base, taking these mechs, and
It would be completely in character for him, especially considering later on in
yeah,
Super, he straight up like jacks Bulma's plans for the time machine, and then later on works for her building mechs in the Trunks Goten Super stuff. So like, yeah, it would make perfect sense. Yeah.
right. And we know that Pilaf is smart, actually.
Yeah.
So the Pilaf Robos are awesome. I think this was a lot of like, you have to understand, and I think most people in the chat understand this. Giant mechs are like a thing in Japan going back decades, going back to like Mobile Suit Gundam and the original, the one from the 70s, Mazinger. Like there's so many giant mechs, obviously in
Yeah.
Super Sentai
Astro
live
Boy.
action. Yeah, and
Astro
I think Toriyama watched that shit when he was a kid. We know for a fact he watched Ultraman. He admitted that. So,
Yeah.
and don't forget the Ginyu Force is called Ginyu Tokusentai.
Yeah.
So the name of Japanese special effects live action shows is Tokusatsu, which stands for like special effects shows, like shows that have like science fiction special effects.
Yeah.
Ginyu Tokusentai. It's Toku and Sentai. Sentai means task force, which is the name of all the different Power Ranger teams going back to the 70s. They're all called it's called Super Sentai. Tokusatsu. So Toriyama took both words and just said Ginyu Tokusentai, which is Ginyu Special Task Force. That's
Right.
what literally it translates to. The Ginyu Special Task Force. Obviously, in the dub, it's just the Ginyu Force. It's easier to say. We say it
Yeah.
that way. It's not really a bad thing, but the literal translation, Ginyu Tokusentai, is
Yeah.
that they are making fun. Toriyama's not even trying to be coy about it.
No,
He
he's
is
being very
taking the
lame about it.
idea of the 5 heroes and making them bad guys, like what he did with Sun Wukong, but the reverse.
Right. That's right.
But we'll get to that when we get to those chapters. I love this panel too. That's just
The colorful Dragon Ball logo is cool.
Yeah.
This
Rainbow,
art reminds
bro.
me a lot of his Dr. Slump era art.
Chapter 110, the Pilaf machine, which is the Pilaf Robo. So now, of course, they're surrounding Goku. There's not much here as far as lore goes. Goku's more powerful now than he used to be. He just got done fighting one of them. But I love the fact they all have different weapons too. Mize is strength based. Pilaf has like fire, like projectile weapons, things of that nature. He's trying to grab his tail. Now at this point, Goku's actually naked. When did they right here? They burned his clothes off. And Yash says, I recall Toriyama talking at length about this particular section of the manga interview, or Torishima, how his clothes burning off here was a sort of new beginning for Goku's character. Well, maybe, in a way. So he gets his clothes burned off because he wants the tail, but there's no tail there. Now, Goku is naked in the manga. Jordan went ahead and censored this so that way we can put this on YouTube without any kind of problems. But if you read the original manga, he's naked. So just letting you know. Anyways, and so he's fighting. Goku is the only motherfucker who's such a badass. He can fight 3 robots with his dick out. I want you to find me anywhere in history of anyone fighting robots with their dicks out, bro. And then they merge. Now, the merging robot thing is something we've seen with Go Lion, aka Voltron. It's old.
Yeah.
The first Super Sentai to introduce multiple mechs combining, I believe it wasn't Battle Fever J. I think it was Denjimon It could have also been Sun Vulcan. It's old. This is like the early 80s. Late 70s, early 80s. So combining mechs is like a normal thing. So then we have the Pilaf Robo. Now in the anime, wasn't it colored blue?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Goku fires the Kamehameha and actually blows off an entire arm. I love the detail here, how you can see like all the little like gadgets and shit.
Yeah,
inside
Mai's
of it.
reaction is hilarious.
Yeah, with the big eyes. I love how they merged to make this giant fucking mech, and they're thinking this kid's fucked, and then he just blasts away their arm, and even Pilaf. See, and look, Goku, it was just a really small light one too. He didn't even hit him with his full power. Unit 2 is malfunctioning, so she gets out. This is it. It's already over, bro. They're running away. Just that is enough. So, Shu fires the one blast here, and he pulls the towel and just sends it back to them.
Yeah.
They blow up, and we never see them again until a couple arcs down the road. We'll see them again.
Yeah.
And then what happens here is not only does he get the Dragon Balls, he also makes poor fucking Shu take off his clothes.
Yeah.
He literally pulled an Arnold, bro. Your clothes, give them to me. That's he literally stripped this motherfucker naked, bro.
Ninja Goku.
Yeah, and there it is, bro, dressed like fucking Murasaki. I actually think this outfit for him is underrated. I've always liked
it. It is cool. I would like to see like an adult Goku in it just for fun.
I would like to see an alternate costume in one of these Dragon Ball games, like Tenkaichi 4 or whatever, that has that as like an alternate
costume. That would be awesome.
Yeah, for Kid Goku. But only the original Dragon Ball Kid Goku.
Yeah.
Chapter 111. So now Goku's got to go back and find Upa. He's got all 7 Dragon Balls. He's back. He's going to get the remaining 6. They're going to go. There's Upa. They're going to go now to summon the dragon. Now, this right here is an example of Toriyama actually having a plan. This is foreshadowing right here. So Baba says he's truly an amazing tyke. One day he'll even save this world. What do you mean by that? I've got a vague premonition to that effect. They're talking about the Piccolo arc. So that means that Toriyama already had in his head the idea of a greater villain. Maybe he didn't have every chapter written out because he never does, but he already had
it's the perfect opportunity for that now. Now that Goku has gotten so strong, it's the perfect opportunity to create like a supernaturally, unbelievably powerful evil villain.
Putting the world in jeopardy.
Yeah, this was the perfect time to implement that. It really was.
Because the Red Ribbon Army wasn't going to just like kill random people. Like they killed people, they were bad, but it was for Commander Red's selfish wish of being taller. Piccolo is sadistic. Piccolo was the first real evil, like even beyond Tao. He is
That's why
sadistic.
Toriyama loved him so much. Yeah.
But I do love to death that foreshadowing right there. I've always been a fan of that foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of the Saiyan arc when and it wasn't in the dub, of course, when Kai-Osama says when Vegeta leaves, he's like, but the root of the evil has not been put away yet. And he was foreshadowing Frieza. I like that kind of shit, bro. I like that kind of foreshadowing. So they go back to Sacred Karin Land, which is where Bora was buried. Summon the dragon. You know where this goes.
Yep.
He wishes Bora to come back to life. Upa makes the wish. Bora awakens. And he's back. Chapter 112. I love that art right there. Hold on. Sorry about that. Let me go back a little bit. Okay. The dragon's been summoned. Now the Dragon Balls are out of commission for a whole year, but Bora's back to life again. Goku jumps up, though, and grabs one of them, the 4-star ball, because that is the one that represents his grandfather. So it's an heirloom to him, not just a tool for making wishes.
Right.
All of this right here is basically closing up and wrapping up the Red Ribbon / Baba arc. by telling us that Goku's going to train to the next tournament, the next Tenkaichi Budokai. I'm going to train for the next Tenkaichi Budokai right there, and that would be next, and then we'd get Piccolo. So Toriyama gave himself some space before jumping right into that premonition that Baba had.
Yeah.
And so basically, there's not much here that's important as far as dialogue goes. It's just even Roshi's like, yeah, we'll see you at the next tournament.
Well,
So
there is
Goku,
a very, very important thing there is actually one thing that's very important.
Tell me where to find it at. Which one?
And that is what Roshi tells Goku to do right here at the end. So,
oh yes, this is very important. You're right. This is super important.
Yes.
He says, well, then there's no point in training under me anymore. Instead, go out into the world and study all kinds of things. So he's saying expand your mind. Don't just stick to what I've taught.
Well, he's also saying to follow the way. So Budo, one of the words in Budo translates to marching or like putting one foot in front of the other. And the journey and like basically like making the journey on foot is essentially what it represents. And so Roshi, this is Roshi's way of telling Goku to walk the path, to follow the way, and to not like rob himself of any opportunities to learn new things as a martial artist. He's supposed to put himself at risk. He's supposed to put himself in positions where he can learn from his experiences. And he's basically just trying to make sure Goku understands that just because he's this powerful doesn't mean he doesn't have any room to grow. And he needs to put himself in a position to where he can learn and grow. So if he's not walking the earth and experiencing the earth, he's not going to grow and learn. So he's basically trying to tell him, put the Kintoon away, and walk and learn from life is essentially what he's trying to tell him. And that's very sound advice.
And he would follow it because he had multiple masters throughout the rest of his life. I also want to highlight here that the tournament's going to be now every 3 years, not every 5 years. So it's a 3-year time skip. That'll give them all 3 years of training. But Goku does not interact with them for 3 years. He doesn't see them. He doesn't hang out with them. He's just out there training. I'm going to get that question in the chat here in just a minute because that's more for you than for me. But I'll answer it. I'll try. Hey, Geekdom and Jordan, can you tell me why Zamasu and DB Super was able to end Goku's positive karma cycle in the future multiverse?
Zamasu was not able to end it because the other universe still existed. So the new created timelines are an extension of that cycle. If it wasn't for the Goku effect, quote unquote, these new timelines where people can live happily would not exist. And they actually highlight that at the end of the Goku Black arc, whenever Trunks is crying over seeing Gohan living a happy life. The only reason that Goku and Gohan exist is because of Trunks using the time machine to create that new timeline. That's the only reason those two exist. The only reason a happy timeline exists is because Trunks
went back,
created that timeline. So when he's looking back at Gohan and Goku, he's looking at people that he created. But why did he create them? Because Goku had mercy on Vegeta. The only reason Trunks exists at all is because of one decision that Goku made that people claim is like this super horribly ignorant decision. But had he not made that decision, there would not be a timeline that exists where Goku and everybody else is happy and thriving, and that positive karma cycle can continue to thrive. So within Toriyama's logic, the multiple timelines are an extension of the Goku effect.
I have a different answer completely.
Okay, go ahead.
Completely.
Okay, go
the
ahead.
Answer is it was positive karma. Yeah. If Goku, listen to this, if Goku had not made friends with the Omni King, he would have never gotten the button that he pushed to allow the future Omni King to wipe out Zamasu.
Right.
So had Goku never made friends with the Omni King and never gotten that magic button.
Yeah, and that's one of the most, and if you'll notice in that arc, Zamasu is watching Hit and
Goku by the way, I still hate that. I still don't like that ending, but go ahead.
You'll notice like in that arc, Zamasu is watching Goku and Hit fight, and that's what causes him to come to the conclusion that he does about Goku. Whereas whenever Zeno watches Goku and Hit fight, that's the reason he comes to the conclusion that he does about Goku. So if it wasn't for Goku acting the way he did towards Hit, which is a direct reference to whenever Roshi stepped out of the ring against TN to practice
That's coming
Budo.
up. That's coming
Yeah.
up, yeah.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Goku practicing Budo against Hit, Zeno would have not been there to stop Zamasu. So, like, it's still a perpetuation of that cycle. Like, at the end of the day.
Also, please note, at this time in the franchise, meaning at the Baba tournament, Roshi is still the strongest fighter on Earth.
Yeah.
As of this moment, the 22nd tournament, and we're going to get to it. We did it on Twitch. We're going to do it here. Is when Roshi officially steps down, because he himself, with his own words, says that Ten Shinhan and Goku are the future and that they've surpassed him. So this was the last time that Roshi was like the strongest on Earth, was these chapters here, these final chapters of the Baba arc. Yeah. And that is it.
The end of the volume.
Huh?
That's the end of the volume, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a great ending here. Goku has set out on a journey in search of even greater strength. While Kuririn and Yamcha throw themselves into Muten Roshi's training. And so next chapter is 3 years from now. The Tenkaichi Budokai begins again. So the volume 8 is this is volume 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, volume 9. So the next one's volume 10. I pulled a Bon Jedi there with my math. For volume 10, we'll begin the 22nd tournament, which is, I think, my third or fourth favorite arc, although I like the anime more. It is so good, and things get elevated to a new level, and then we have Demon King Piccolo, and then we have Dragon Ball Z's era coming up right after that.
Yeah,
after
all kinds of awesome stuff coming, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, the second half of, even though I love the first half of Dragon Ball, the second half I like more because I do like how Toriyama balances the comedy with the fighting a bit more later on. It kind of, at first, it's still fun, but it's like a different vibe. Dragon Ball, from like the 22nd tournament all the way to like the Frieza saga, kind of has a very similar vibe. Cell Saga is a little bit different, but they've got very similar beats. So Dragon Ball gets turned up.
It was an awesome stream. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to both of our channels. Check out our content if you have it. Watch the previous episodes of the Mangalorian. They were great. They're all a really fun ride.
Yes, they're all archived. Yep. Anyways, we're out, man. Take care of yourself. I'll see y'all. Make sure you come by on Saturday because we're going to wrap up the Heavily Trading arc on Twitch. And then we're going to start the my favorite arc of all time, 23rd tournament. So I'm out. Have a good one. Farewell.